Let's take a look at finding slope, distance, and midpoint of a line segment. And the line is going to be between the point -3, 6 and -5, -4. Three things: find the slope, find the distance, find the midpoint. Okay, for slope, use your trusty y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you don't have to, but sometimes I like just labeling here. This is point 1, this is point 2, this is going to be my x's, this is going to be my y's. Now it's easy to see. What's y2? That's just the y of point 2, that's -4. Take away y1, that's take away 6, all over x2, that's x of point 2, -5, minus x of point 1. And notice this is minus a -3, so I need brackets here. So you get -4 minus 6, -4 minus 6 is minus 10, over -5 minus -3. Minus a minus is a plus, so this is -5 plus 3. You can check it on a calculator or do it on a calculator, no judgments. Either way, you're going to get -2. And finally, if you have a fraction that divides nicely, like -10 divided by -2, you can do it either on your calculator in your head. That's 5. Notice it's positive because negative divided by negative is positive. We've got the slope. Okay. Oh, and I see it just went off a little bit, so I'll move that up so you can see the 5. There it is. Got the 5 there. Okay. Find the distance. I'm going to move this down now. So now we got to find the distance of that. Distance between A and B, I should say. Need your distance formula. D equals the square root of brackets x2 minus x1 all squared. You're going to have to know this formula. Plus y2 minus y1. But it's easy. It's the same pieces as before. y2 minus 1 and x2 minus x1, except they're squared. And you add their results together. You want the distance between the x's squared and the distance between the y squared, then we square root it. So the distance equals square root of x2 minus x1, same x2, -5 minus -3, all squared, same as here. And then y2 minus y1, y2 minus y1, all squared. And notice I'm writing the D every time. You don't have to write it every time. I didn't here, but you have to write it the first time. You absolutely have to write it the first time. After that, it's optional. I got the square root of -5 minus -3. I already know what this is. I did it over here. Negative minus, or minus a minus is a plus, or negative a negative is a plus. And so in this brackets, I get the same result as before, -2, but this time squared, plus -4 minus 6 is -10 squared. And so D equals the square root of, what's -2 squared? That's 4. Notice it becomes positive. Squaring gets rid of a negative, or a negative times a negative is positive, so 10 squared, 100. So the distance is the square root of 104. That I can't do in my head. I'm going to use my calculator. I need a rounding dot too, because square root of 104 is not going to be a pretty number. Square root 104. Let's round to 2 decimals. 10.19, but this 8 means round the 9 up. That's a 0, carry the 1. So 10.19 rounded up gives 10.20, and you absolutely have to put the 0 if I ask you to round to excuse me, if I ask you to round to 2 decimal places, you better show that you've rounded that second decimal place. My distance is 10.20. And finally, find the midpoint. You'll need a formula for midpoint. That one you'll want to know too. But it's another easy one. Just add the x's together and divide by 2 with a comma, because it's a point. The midpoint is a point. X's average, and add the y's together, divide by 2. That's the y's average. The middle of the x's, comma, the middle of the y's. So the midpoint is add the x's together, x1 plus x2, so -3 plus -5, and divide by 2. Oh, no bracket there. And now add the y's together. y1 plus, need a bracket, y2. Notice I put a bracket here because you can't plus a minus. You need a bracket there. for proper communication. Same thing here, plus and minus. Negative 3 plus negative 5 is negative 8 over 2, comma. Remember that comma, it's a point, so you're going to have x comma y. 6 plus negative 4, use a calculator or do in your head, no judgments. 6 plus negative 4 is 2, so you get 2 over 2. And now you can simplify. What's negative 8 divided by 2? Negative 4. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. And we've got the midpoint. And we're done. We've got the slope and the distance, and the slope went off the page here. The slope is 5. We got the slope and the distance and the midpoint of a line segment.